Just
Welcome to your awakening. Please take off as your reality is adjusted.
Oh, quick, get back to the right tab. Hey!
hey.
Welcome back again, folks. Yeah, I managed to quick click through and actually got the YouTube page to load.
It works.
Yeah, it only took one refresh this time rather than the several that it often takes. Yeah, maybe that's a good sign. We'll see how things go with this new edition, because it is going to be just an edition. We're not swapping over or anything. It's just because, unfortunately, Starship Troopers channel has got a strike on it at the moment. Yeah, you've been naughty again, mate. Yeah.
No, not really, but
yeah.
well, I thought I was nice the whole time, but yeah, apparently now that I'm monetized, then yeah.
Oh,
they start
unsubscribed,
checking.
James. Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's weird. So
yeah, you'll have to check that.
check that, guys. Make sure you're subbed and hit that like. And
when I saw Pete's message about the channel having a strike on it, I thought, well, I need to check whether I can do. Because I noticed when I put my video up the other day, it was longer than 15 minutes. And I was thinking, does that mean YouTube's give me permission to do all the other things that you can do on YouTube? And lo and behold, yes, it did. Because it said I had the ability to do live stream. So I thought, now the opportunity's come up, I'll try it. So we added it to the StreamYard destination list, and it looks like it's working all right. So
yeah, we're going to keep it.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it will be happy enough to do its thing.
Yes, we are on YouTube. I'll share a link again. Hang on.
Yeah, because I don't
on
know.
The Rumble. Well, we are on Cookie's channel, so it's a bit confusing, right?
Yeah, I don't know why YouTube,
because of the ban.
It makes me wonder if they've sort of given me this ability and kind of like compensation, because they knew my other original channel had the ability to do live stream. So maybe that's added as kind of like the credit you need to get access to
had a few more subs as well, right? Your original.
Yeah, it had about 2,000 or something subs on the original channel. But yeah, whatever, it's working. That's the main thing.
We're back.
Yeah,
we're still on YouTube, so fuck YouTube.
Yeah, you might get a bit of that tonight, in the sense of it's a kind of like whatever moment, because a lot of information at the moment is being deliberately confused and convoluted on purpose to make it so fucking corrupted. You know, the pool of information is being so polluted that you gotta just turn around and go, we don't know how it's fucking happened, it's just working, so let's just get on with it.
Yeah, it's kind of with the money. Well, they lowered the threshold or time after time, right? It's now 500, so that's why they offered us the monetization. And I said, okay, we'll see what happens. And well, that happened. So yeah, well, if it's all the backlog and they only caught one, then I'm like, okay, then it's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
But
count our blessings.
Yeah. But I kind of feel like, there might be more coming, but yeah, we'll see.
It's one thing.
We'll be back next week anyway on Starfish.
Oh, it's been, I don't know how long since I've said this, because I said it ages ago about YouTube when Google started doing all the censorship shit. It's like you're dealing with the sword of Damocles, which means basically you don't know if they're going to suddenly cut you off, because they don't really need a genuine reason, because they've created terms and conditions that are so ambiguous that if they just decide they want rid of you, they can come up with an excuse to do it. So it is like you just, you're trying to do something while the sword of Damocles is constantly over your head. You never know if they're just going to suddenly take it away from you. You just got to get on with it.
Well, and I'm like, let's push the limits a little bit. Let's see how
Yeah.
far we can go.
Test the
Because they have
boundaries.
been quite lenient on all the COVID shit and the Jew
Yeah.
shit, and
It
because in the end
has.
it was misinformation, so probably some AI thing I put
It,
in the daily,
it
but
could be.
still pretty vague what it really was. Like, I don't know.
And I'm not saying this to be to initiate some kind of bad effect or bad karma. I don't believe in that, but it could be that the reason they've allowed us to talk about certain subjects again now is because it's actually serving the narrative in this new shift of paradigm. Because the fact that the governance has changed in the UK not too long ago, and in the USA, we're the main partners in crime of the grand narrative. So in that respect, it might be that we're just talking about stuff that they want out in the public conversation at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it's like, oh yeah, let them talk about those subjects. That's okay. Yeah.
Self-censorship is gold, the sword of Damocles. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it to say about that Kirk psyop.
That's something. I'll do the quick usual repetition. Hello, welcome back.
Hello.
Moon Day evening, Sol Excalibre. We're here again. Blah blah blah. You know the way it goes.
James was first in the Rumble. Rob was first in the YouTubes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, close second was Kitty. So yeah,
that was cool. Meow.
On the same time almost. Yeah.
And I'd also say at the start, I think I might have said this last week, but even more so this week, I'm probably going to talk about and mention things that there's going to be a lot of discussion and debate and even arguments over, because it's difficult to have any good proof one way or the other. In other words, we're going to be speculating a lot and talking about things that involve a lot of conjecture, so don't get too wound up or angsty if we're suggesting things that you really disagree with or whatever. If you think it's a completely different thing, that's cool. Thank you for reminding me. I've forgotten about that. Yeah.
Well, I saw it pop up and I thought, yeah, we need that.
Yeah, it's appropriate for tonight as well, because besides all the, do the caveats and qualifiers up front, I never knew Charlie Kirk. I only ever listened to probably a couple of hours in total of him doing his thing. I can easily say I didn't agree with everything he mentioned, but I agreed with 80-90% of what he talked about. So, we're going to talk about
what
that
I
kind of stuff.
didn't disagree with wasn't offensive or reason to kill him.
Yeah.
No.
It's more pedantic technicalities for me, especially when it comes to some of the stuff like the religious stuff. I would have happily debated him for hours about some of the theological stuff. But yeah, all those usual caveats and qualifiers, allegedly, blah, 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 the way it goes. Yeah, and please allow for the fact that the image we used for the thumbnail, I have Pete doing it repeatedly to try different things just to try and get something that I thought was appropriate. Yeah, I'm not trying to suggest that we or I am a Templar Knight with Christ's blessing and all that kind of religious element. No, this is more about a reference
the imagery that's being put out there, really, isn't
it? The narrative that's being created. Yeah. So this is about that. That image is meant to represent the way they are portraying him and his death, his martyrdom. They themselves have already started referring to him as a martyr. So this is very, very. They've done this very deliberately. So I wanted to have an image that sort of represented that kind of deliberate narrative creation,
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to give a really big shout out to Anonymous. He put up a video yesterday that he titled "The Messiah of Steel."
It started like this, Cookie, like a pretty picture, and then you said, "No, I need a liberal in there protesting.
We need a crazy lefty in there to give it that balance." But yeah, big shout out to Anonymous. He put up a video that he titled the Messiah of Steel. which I thought was highly appropriate when we get into talking about some of the stuff. His title is appropriate, but I felt the way they're suggesting what they want to portray Charlie Kirk as isn't exactly the Messiah. It's not like they're trying to equate him to Jesus himself, because they know that would be a blasphemy. Yeah, so they're not going quite that far, but they're one step away from it. So it's like they're trying to get him beatified, which means basically being turned into a saint. Yeah, to be beatified is like the Pope did very recently for a young, I think he was Brazilian teenager who was. Oh, it's because it's coming through my channel, isn't it? Yeah, I was wondering why I did that post under my title, under my name.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, no, I just noticed. Like, oh yeah, hang on, that's not me.
Yeah, but recently, the Pope beatified a young guy who died of I can't remember the disease it was now. He had some terminal disease, but he was such a nice guy, and he was great at encouraging people to join the Catholic Church via use of the internet. So the Pope had decided, and obviously the College of the Clergy and whatever had decided they were going to beatify him to represent his good works. And to be beatified, you have to have a certain number of miracles attributed to you. And this kid, this young guy, supposedly had things that he did that they claimed were real miracles. The reason I mention that is because they've already started sowing that seed into the narrative about Charlie Kirk. And we'll come back to that, but it's why I borrowed from Anonymous's title, and I thought, well, I wouldn't go quite as far as saying Messiah. I don't think they're that, they're not trying to make him another Jesus, because they know that would be too far. But they certainly want to portray him as a saint. Yeah, so they're going to mention the miracles of certain things that have occurred. Yeah, which will.
That's a crusade narrative, right?
Yes, absolutely. Right. Yes, they are like the New Templars, or they think they are the New Templars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why I thought Saint Steele, and the reason it's Steele, not his name, is because of the alleged autopsy report, not autopsy report, sorry, the surgery report, which again we'll get into as we go, but I wanted to just mention all that up front so we know where we are. Big shout out to Anonymous. He did some good coverage and digging for some of the older information to connect to this. Yeah, and I do agree with his general hypothesis that this is becoming more and more and more beyond rational belief. So I'll just leave it at that for now. We'll come back to it and dig into it a bit more. I've got a ton of questions. I've got far more questions than answers, which is always good for a good bit of conspiratainment. Yeah, I'm not doing this to be entertainment, you know that, but I know that that's a certain amount of what they want to happen. Yeah, because this is where they'll insert their suggestions that he was, somehow divinely chosen for various reasons, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. The other main thing I wanted to mention, and what I thought when Mascara reminded me about reading the rune, it's probably very appropriate today, because today is the equinox. If you didn't realise, if you had forgotten, I think most people would know, because I talk about this stuff endlessly, so I'm sure people are fed up of being reminded about this kind of solar cycle stuff. But yes, today is the equinox. The actual equinox took place about an hour or so ago, because I think for us here in the Greenwich Mean Time zone, the 0 zone on the planetary lattice. Yeah, we were something like 7:20, I think it was meant to happen. 23rd. So you have.
No,
it was today, 22nd. but it was something like 1929 or 1920 something. I can't remember exactly the time, but it was in the evening anyway. That was just the point I was making. It wasn't too long ago that we crossed the solar threshold. You are now in autumn proper, heading towards and into winter. So we're partway through that transition from summer to winter. And it's why, again, referencing back to the Charlie Kirk incident, it's why I suggested that they did what they did, because he was meant to represent the Sun King, because the SON is the same as the SUN, or the SUN is the SON. The guy in the back with the crown of thorns and the glowy light behind him, he's the SUN as well as the SON. Whether you believe there was an actual living human that was referred to as the Christ, Jesus, Yeshua, whatever, that's a bit beside the point, because over the many centuries and millennia, the mythology that is attached to him and the theology that is attached to him is most definitely connected to the solar cycle. That's what it's meant to represent. I know there'll be various religious people that might argue against that, but I'm sorry, that's what I think about it. I'll put it that way, because it's a religious subject. Of course, you can argue forever.
Deconstructed a bit, right? He was on the 14th October. He was his birthday, right? That's now Charlie Kirk Day.
Yeah.
I was thinking like the October surprise as well, right? That's the thing.
Yeah. Often referred to in relation to Russia, though, isn't it? Because of there was the one major attack that they did that took place. I think it was October. Was it October 10th or something like that? Oh, could easily look it up online.
Well, we now had the remembrance, right, and the burial ceremony, because that's what we call it. And then we had this little.
Ask yourself why. Why would a Christian do what's commonly referred to as the devil horns, or even potentially the 666? Or if you follow the Eastern traditions, that's the mudra. As far as I remember, it's called the mudra, which is one of the power symbols from Hinduism. Represents the all-seeing eye emanating through the chakra. Yes, usually, it's talking about the
folded thumb as well is like the classic Satan, the devil sign, right? The horn sign when you have the thumb
well, she's got longish nails, so she might not have done it, but you're supposed to curve your fingers right in so it forms the sixes, with the thumb being one of those sixes.
Fake picture. No, I have the video if you want to see the video.
It's genuine. I watched it live on yesterday, and I watched her do that. Yes, unless of course it's AI or something, possibly. But no, I did watch it, and she did actually do the devil horns. And I would suggest that she did it on the prompting of Trump, because at that point, this was at the end of Trump's speech, where he'd been doing his usual and turning it into a political rally in support of himself and how fucking great he was and all the usual Trump shit,
There you go.
And then he called her out onto stage so he could give her a bit of fondling, because he's very physical with her, and she
he points up and then she goes,
He says, look, there's your dead husband. It's almost as if he's letting her know, there's your cue, do the salute. There's the image. What are you doing for the image? Why would a supposedly devout Christian do that? That makes
I'm surprised
zero
the cross
sense.
isn't upside down at this point, like,
The only possible explanation I can think of for that is they will claim that it's because it's a classic college thing. A lot of the colleges, the university students will use that in America. It's somewhat of a gang sign of the academics. But that still doesn't really explain or justify why she, a supposedly devout and espousing Christian, would do that during the fucking memorial service, for fuck's sake. Yeah,
Well, she's
it
not
does
a Christian.
potentially, yeah.
Well, why is she invited to Israel to visit Israel 2 times over with a fucking family, and a mom takes her there, and it's at the same time that Charlie was there too. So she's desperately trying to connect Israel to their whole fucking existence and relationship.
The Holy Land.
Like, if that didn't happen, then Charlie would learn never. Yeah, fuck that shit.
And so I didn't go through and do the register. Sorry, I've got to make a register at some point so we can call out who's here this evening, who's attending this evening. But hello to everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us. And thanks to all the lurkers and time travelers.
Yep.
Yes, you did mention who was in the chat first, didn't you?
Oh yeah, well, everybody's here. All the usuals are here, so good to see you all. Happy you find us back here. So
yeah,
it's good to have a backup channel.
Yeah, I'll try and catch up with the chat like I do. I'm sorry, I'm not good at that, but you know what I'm like. Hello, Mr. Smith as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big shout out for Valerie. She put up the
the
Remember
Womble.
You're a Womble song.
Yeah.
Because I was preoccupied looking at other stuff to do with all the Charlie Kirk stuff, I only remembered just as it was ending. I clicked on the video and all I heard was like the last phrase
She
of
put
the
up
song.
the video of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I caught literally the very end of the premiere, so I had to wait for it to tick over and then rewind it and watch it.
Okay.
So
She put up a separate video as well of the Womble song. I'll look it up.
Yeah, cool. And I tested out this evening the fact that now if I can do these lives, I can also do polls in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put a quick poll. Is he still alive? And at the moment, we've got, 13 votes so far. And it's 38% yes, 23% no, 38% don't know. So we're
that's a lot of no and don't know. And not so much yes.
No, other way around. It's yes and don't know. And not so much no. No is the lowest at 21%.
Yeah, but if you count those up, because no is the same as I don't know, isn't it? Could be either way.
No, so don't know.
Yeah, you
it
can
could
count
be
them
either.
either way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
well,
I'd say if anything,
no by now, then there's definitely something fishy.
Yeah. And I certainly think just from that general sort of straw poll, as they'd call it, I think most people are questioning the official narrative. Because if you just accept and believe the official narrative, then he's definitely dead, isn't he? Yeah, there's no question according to the official narrative. They're insistent that he is absolutely dead. So.
I'm in the dead camp, so yeah.
I am too, even though I've got lots of questions about how it may have played out. I do think that there's still the highest likelihood is that they did actually kill him. Simply because it tactically, strategically makes sense. It serves the purpose of their narrative. He's not the kind of personality. He's not like Epstein, who I think is probably still alive. But Epstein would have had information that they would have wanted to basically debrief him pretty much permanently. Plus, they would have wanted control over him. They would have wanted him within arm's reach, because of the information he has in his head. So that if he starts getting a bit uppity, he's within arm's reach so they can deal with him. Yeah. Whereas Charlie, even though he was excellent at what he did and he was good for their PR and all that kind of stuff, yes, but I don't think he had the kind of information in his head that they would have been so worried about retrieving. And it serves their purpose better to have an actual blood sacrifice, to actually kill him, because it creates more of an effect for the narrative. So I'm still leaning towards, yes, they killed him. I just got a hell of a lot of questions about how they actually went about it. Yeah, and the way they're portraying him now, like I've mentioned, so I'll go have a quick read through some of my notes. I've mentioned the Saint Steel thing, why I've put the subtitle this week as Saint Steel. Some of the things that have been mentioned over the days since he was killed have led towards, even more so after the memorial yesterday, which was just such... I don't want to speak badly of him because I never really knew him. And like I said, I didn't really have anything against what he was saying or doing. It was so cringeworthy. But I don't know if that's just because of maybe... I don't know. I was going to suggest that maybe it's just a cultural difference between me being British and the Americans' attitude towards that kind of thing. But
I was thinking the same. So it's not
was
British.
So to me, that would have made me cringe like fuck. I would have wanted to leave within 5 minutes of being there. Because to me, that's not a memorial for somebody. That's an exploitation of his memory. Yeah, they would deliver, especially from Trump's point of view. He was literally turning it into a political rally. It was nothing but a sounding board for him to say, "Oh, our government's great. Look at all the great things I did. Everybody loves me. I'm fantastic.
We got him in 33 hours."
Yeah, it was just, it was horrible. It was really cringeworthy. And listening to her speech was, again, to me, that was like heavily scripted and overacted. But not knowing her personally, not, interacting with her on a direct level, maybe she just is that way. Maybe she's that kind of, how can I describe it? An externalized personality, where she's so concerned about image and the way she presents herself that everything that you think you're seeing has been carefully curated by her before she expresses it. So, control of her emotions, control of body language and stuff like that. She seemed very, very much like she was acting, not like it was genuine. That's how I felt about it. That's how I interpreted her body language, was that she was being deliberately purposeful in the way she held herself, the way she said the words and all that the way she kept dabbing her eyes every now and then. It was like, this is like watching drama TV. It didn't seem genuine to me. Yes, mate, that's what I've been thinking.
Well,
we've been talking about it before, and it is highly likely that she was some kind of handler for him.
Schwarzenegger movie where he goes to Mars and he has this handler wife.
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Yeah.
Oh, she's Total Recall.
Yeah.
She's that trophy fucking cunt wife. Yeah, no, that whole fucking setup story about her and Israel and oh my god. Yeah, all the flags, every fucking flag. The statements that BB made, like, he's a fucking fortune teller, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's surprising how he seemed to have very prompt knowledge about everything that was taking place.
Yeah, very accurate.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve. Hey, Steve. Good to see you. Yeah, no, look at smells. And the building at it, Turning Point USA. Turning Point. Is this a turning point?
Remember what I've been... Well, so remember like a singular thing, but I've been ranting about this kind of stuff now for multiple years. We are going through a major paradigm shift. They know that shit is going to really radically change by the time we get into the 2030s. Yeah, that period is a natural cycle change to do with the solar cycle and the galactic movement, etc. Yeah, it's something that they know they can't ignore because it's going to have major effect. It already has been having major effects on the planet, which means it affects all of us. So they've come up with all these bullshit narratives to try and explain it and make it all our fault. But the main point being is they know we're going to go through a major cyclical change. So they've come up with this paradigm change methodology that is based on their Phoenix principle of every so often you have to smash the system so you can rebuild it again and start again until it becomes unmanageable again, and then they smash it again and start again. This boom bust cycle of civilization that they've been relying on for 3,000 years probably. Yeah,
well, they build up this left-right paradigm, right? This Democrat, Republican kind of a narrative, and then they play it out against each other, or they weaponize it, and they turn each other against each other. I saw Tim Pool, which is like a fucking pussy on steroids, right? With this like a little woolly head on. But he said like, no, we are now, this is like, it's now clear. Like we have the Democrats and we have the Republicans, and both of them want to have America, but we are not gonna live together anymore. It's not like there's no unity found.
Part of the messaging has been that you can't communicate with them.
Yeah, and it looks like Kosovo situation, right? They're trying to cut up America now.
Yeah, balkanize it.
Balkanize it.
Yeah, that's part of the grand chessboard principle of destabilizing every nation state, so it can be broken down into federalized partitions, so that it can have an overarching federal system stamped on top of it, which is that UN agenda system. So they know we're going through a paradigm shift in a natural cycle sense, and they're trying to ride on top of that to exploit it for their purposes. I'll get to that, right? I will get to that. Yes, but that cyclical change, that paradigm shift change, is very much sort of embodied by their symbolism and their name, Turning Point. Yeah, like you said, Turning Point. What do you do at a turning point? You turn. Yeah, and their own symbolism is like an arrow that's in the shape of a C. Yeah, it's like a half turn, like a 180-degree turn. Yeah. So again, they're sort of referencing that it's time for things to change. Yeah, it's time for things to be turned on their head, or changing of direction kind of symbolism.
Isn't it a bit double? Isn't it like a revolution, like halfway there?
Yes.
Like we want to reset, just start over. We're gonna do the same mistakes again, just do it in a different way. It's not an actual revolution.
Can mean going full circle. So you do a complete 360, but the symbolism for the company or NGO, whatever the turning point,
it's a 180.
It's 180 rather than the full 360. And I think that's may have been a subtle reference to Charlie himself, in the sense of his name begins with a C. It's also representative of C for Christ. So, and maybe they were talking about that kind of turning point, as in you turn away from the devil and turn back to Jesus. So it's more appropriate in that 180 rather than 360.
Movies have a turning point as well.
Yeah. There's a point in the story where things shift into more of a what's the
revelation word? Or revealing. Or start to
when the beginning of the main script sort of kicks in, and then the viewer is suddenly like, oh right, they're going that way. Okay.
Kirk means church. Well, Captain Kirk as well. Scottish. The shooter, T. Robinson. I mean, that's the first thing. Like, fuck me. I'm still confused because he doesn't have 3 names. Normally they have 3 initials.
I did wonder about that, but there's also the fact that he's the.
I don't know if he's baptized or not.
He's the son of an ex-judicial worker, supposedly, somebody who's
Trumper,
in the
right?
system. Yeah. Allegedly, or I don't know what my old man will think. He's been major MAGA since Trump got those messages. Are just, mate, those messages are so absurd.
Charlie means cocaine.
Charlie means cocaine. Yeah, cocaine.
Charlie
Church.
Sheen. That's from Charlie Sheen.
Winning.
Winning! I got tiger blood.
Oh man, I remember that meme.
He's back on the scene.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah, he was on
yeah,
Rogan
he fucking
just the
returned.
other day, wasn't he? Yeah. It's funny that the Charlies are sort of coming back out.
On the day that he got shot,
retirement.
that's when he did Rogan.
Yes, he was, wasn't he? Yeah, he was in interview when they got the news. Yeah, that could be a potential connection even as well. I know it seems a bit tenuous, but the way they are so
cocaine.
they are so heavily attempting to turn this into a narrative. Yeah, and like I said right at the start, please allow for the fact that this is a lot of speculation and conjecture and blah blah blah.
We don't know.
Yeah, we're just asking questions because the amount of good, provable, solid evidence is few and far between, if at all.
Yeah, it's like the Epstein case.
Yeah, but it's still like it does make me wonder if maybe there is a deliberate attempt to bring somebody like Charlie Sheen back, because he's somebody who's turned his life around in that kind of sense as well, hasn't he? Because he used to be a total crazy party animal, isn't he? And he sort of cleaned himself up and blah blah blah.
Oh, really?
Well, supposedly, according to all the Hollywood storylines, he went to rehab and came out a better person and all that usual kind of narrative.
Yeah, well,
but maybe he doesn't have the three names, but he is still part of somewhat stereotypical caricature that fits the bill for the narrative of the lone homegrown extremist, especially in the recent times in the USA, where they have been deliberately painting a narrative of people associated with the left, and in particular the trans agenda, as being the ones that are perpetrating the extremism. So yeah, maybe they thought they could get away without the third name this time. You never know. Maybe we'll find out later that he does actually have a third name that they just never mentioned initially. Possibly.
It's not going to be long, and even the liberals are going to think like, "Oh, I wish it was the '90s again because everything was so good."
Yeah,
this is going to haunt all this shit is going to backfire like fuck on all of them.
I think it already is.
You've seen it with Antifa right now, right?
Yeah. That's another element.
They're banning Antifa here in Holland as well. So
saying that, I'm glad you mentioned it because I hadn't thought to put that in my notes, but that is definitely tied into all this narrative creation. Yeah, because
all free speech off the table now. Fuck it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is about controlling speech. If anything, as well, the memorial. And I'm not saying this to be hyperbolic. I know there's some people out there that have been quite over the top in the way they've labelled it. But it did have such an overbearing air of being a political rally. And when you consider the sheer amount of named important people that were there, political people, diplomats, blah, 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 it stank of being a fucking, I don't want to say the word because we're still going to YouTube, but it begins with an N and ends in an I, and there's an A and a Z in the middle, It looked... all the red banners, all the lighting, the pomp and circumstance of it, as I mentioned earlier, to me, it did not come across as a memorial. It came across as a political rally. I'm sure they'd claim that it was more a religious rally, because they're calling people back to Christ by Charlie's example. It stank of being a political rally cry, so it matched the same kind of stuff, the same kind of lead up.
If you want to incite two groups, right, you need a Tinder thingy, right? You need to light the fuse.
Spark,
so they lit the fuse with this, and it's pretty clear if you look at the whole rhetoric that's coming out of that. Well, from the left, it's like, oh my god, the Nazis have risen. Look at it. It's all fucking Nazis. I don't know, but I saw a Biden speech that looked even more Nazi than that one. But okay.
With the red
remember that one?
In the background. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
with the stormtroopers behind them and all that.
If you looked at the two next to each other, you'd see that there's an immense amount of similarity in the symbolism,
Yeah,
especially in the
of
color
course, red,
coding.
the red,
Yeah,
the red, the blood.
it's blood red.
All the blood cult.
I mean, it's it's in the symbolism of Christianity in the first place. So,
a
Christ is the
certain
lamb.
branch of Christianity where
yeah.
they love to portray Jesus nailed to the cross.
Yeah.
Not
But
all of them do that.
that's part of that's a core part of the message of Christianity.
Yeah.
His sacrifice,
suffering,
which involves the letting of the blood,
Well,
It
you're
is a blood
drinking his
cult.
blood, literally.
Yeah. But let me take a step back a little bit first and mention a few things that I've got on my notes. But yeah, the Antifa thing was something I forgot to put in there. It's worth mentioning. Some of the information that's come out, I have been back and revisited some of the slow motion footage and stuff like that. I saw actually some better quality footage because the one I was looking at originally was a bit grainy, and as far as I can tell, either the software they was using was shit or something, because the other version I watched over the last weekend had a lot more frames to it. So the guy, this was the one I mentioned where he's talking about the shot coming from behind him. When he was going through the frame by frame explanation, he was showing a lot more frames that weren't shown in that original footage that got shared around. Yeah, so you could see a lot more of his body movement and stuff like that, which helped make a bit more sense of what was possibly going on during the incident. But other information that's come out since is one, the authorities are claiming that the gun is untraceable because it was so old that it goes back to potentially the First World War. They can't say for certain because it's so old and it has no serial number on it. To me, that's a weird convenience, because if they claim they've already got the guy anyway,
about taking that thing?
Why does it matter if it's got a serial number or not? If you claim that you've got the guy who did the crime and you've got his weapon, then you don't need the serial number to be able to trace who owned it and blah, blah, blah.
But then as a shooter, why the fuck was he worried about a gun if he didn't have a fucking serial?
Exactly. It couldn't have
been
been
traced. Just left it. Nobody could trace it.
It makes, all of that makes no sense whatsoever.
And the gun that we've seen is not that old, is it? In the box,
it didn't look that old to me, but they're claiming that the style of the way the gun is put together and the type of the gun, it's a Mauser, and they reckon that is a gun that could have been issued during the First World War because they were available during the First World War. Yeah, so they suggested
it was a very basic gun. Yeah.
It could be that old, but like I said, it's like, well, why does that matter? It's making no difference to the overall result of the investigation, is it? To me, they're saying that to sort of allude to the fact that, oh, don't worry about trying to trace what it is and the caliber and all.
They have the text, right? Oh, my grandpa's gun.
Yeah, my grandpa's gun.
About my grandpa. Oh, he's going to be upset.
See, I think that might be why they seem to be updating the script on the fly. So from that sequence of messages,
it's a Nazi gun.
It's potentially exactly right. It potentially is. Yeah, that's kind of what they're implying when they were saying
it was killing Nazis.
From the
this
First
one
World
was
War,
a Nazi hunter. Yeah.
But oh, fucking hell, what was I saying? The
gun.
Oh no, I was going to mention something else, but now I forgot. I'll come back to it. My brain might remind me in a second what I was going to say. But yeah, the gun is supposedly very old. Sense. Not that it makes, like I said, it doesn't really make any difference to the final result of the crime and the investigation. Just the fact that they're claiming it's that old, But some of the other elements, and that you'll find a ton of people online, especially coming from the USA, who utilize guns on a regular basis. They're used to using that kind of caliber of weapon, even down to that particular make, the Mauser style of the 30-06, which is the caliber of the bullet, blah, blah, blah. I haven't seen a single person say, "Oh yeah, that makes sense that it didn't, blow the back of his neck out and the bullet can't be." Oh yeah, that makes perfect. No, every single one that you can go and reference will say, "There's no way that happened." If that was genuinely the weapon that was used to shoot him, half of his neck would be missing, and the bullet would have gone straight through him, and they would have found it behind him in the wall or something like that, or it would have hit somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the weapon itself and the caliber of the weapon are a highly contestable part of the story. That's the other thing I was going to mention, is the stripping it down and whatever.
That's what the video that Candace Owens was alluding to, right? That she saw.
The one from behind. Well,
yeah.
Let's get into that, because as mentioned, it's potentially, because when I rewatched the footage where I said like that guy who was doing the analysis was able to have more frames that he could show, it's really difficult to tell if he is actually wearing some kind of ballistic vest, like a bulletproof vest, as people call them. Yeah. I don't think he was. Now looking at it, when I first
some were
watched
saying a mic, right? A little mic.
He had a little black clip-on mic.
Yeah.
And an earpiece
and a wire.
With a wire going round the back of his neck and down to what would have been a little gubbins box on his belt or whatever. Yeah. Now I'm curious, because I'm certain that in the video lead up to before we actually sat down and started doing the question answer thing, he was throwing hats out to the audience, and you can clearly see he's got some kind of vest under his t-shirt. Yeah, you can see the straps on his shoulder, and it's a tan-coloured vest. But when you see the video footage of when he sat down and getting shot and whatever, it doesn't look like he's wearing a vest. And that makes no real good sense, because it's like, well, if you had one on in the first place, why would you go like backstage and take it off before you sat down? You wouldn't, would you? Not if you were putting it on in the first place. That means you're wearing it for that security reason, blah, blah. There's no way you go, I feel a bit warm, I'm going to take it off.
Yeah, only if it's a stabbing vest.
Yeah, but if you put it on in the first place, that means you're already preparing for any.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense to switch fucking vests. No.
Possibly Roscoe, as Roscoe suggesting, the vest could have been containing blood squib or a squib to represent the blood. Possibly.
Yeah, seen theories like that.
The main reason I'm mentioning it is I'm watching the repeat of that slow motion footage. Yeah. It was difficult to tell if he was wearing one or not. And in that respect, some of it then, the likelihood of the caliber of the weapon, as I've mentioned, not adding up to explain the wound that we saw take place. And we saw it when we watched that clip, literally last Wednesday, wasn't it? On the day of it happening, and we're watching that fucking clip. There's no way because I questioned this at the time, you would have to have some kind of magic bullet effect, like fucking the JFK kind of shit, Yep. Because for a ricochet to go up and then through his neck, such that was the potentially exit wound, because there's no other exit wound according to the rumored reports anyway. Again, please remember that we don't have access to the actual autopsy report. Nothing official has been mentioned at all. If anything, they're purposefully avoiding that information because they want you to just accept the narrative they're giving you.
Oh, that's it, right? Owen says there was no blood from behind.
Yeah. She claims she got in touch with the guy that we've seen take the data card out of the camera that was behind him. And she claims she watched, and I've got no reason to doubt her in the same way as the other stuff that she said. She could be completely making shit up. I don't know, but I've got no reason to see an inconsistency in what she's relayed in her videos. Yeah, she's been consistent in what she's talked about with her videos.
Yeah,
and she's saying she was shown the footage, and she saw no blood. She saw no major catastrophic exit wound. In which case, there's no way the bullet came from the front, the way the official story is saying, yeah?
No.
So what I saw initially, that I was trying to reconcile, why was his shirt moving like that? That's what made me take the assumption of it being a ricochet off his vest. No, because if it was, then you've got to have some kind of magic bullet effect for it to go down into his body, as the alleged reports suggest. Because that's the other thing, is we've now got a second-hand report from somebody who works within Turning Point USA, who claims that they had a discussion with the surgeon who supposedly attempted to save his life when he reached hospital. And this is where it gets silly, and this is where we get to the Saint Steel, or as Anonymous called it, the Messiah of Steel. That surgeon is claiming that because Charlie's bones were so fucking strong and amazing, because he was such a healthily, amazing, wonderful guy, he was literally a Superman, because that's the only other time we would know of anyone surviving that kind of impact from less than 200 yards. Please remember that. Supposedly a high caliber rifle, the kind of rifle that's used to kill large animals, including humans, like I suggested, it could have been in the Second World War, the First World War, used to kill people. There is no way a bullet like that would bounce off bones. Exactly, mate. Bones of steel. Which is why I thought Saint Steel to me seemed more appropriate. Yeah. Because, like I said, theologically, I don't think they're crazy enough to try and claim.
Yeah, so that kind of leaves the vest, right? So did he wear a vest or not? And then is it a ricochet or not? And then where's the bullet? Because again,
that's the other thing.
If it's a straight ahead fucking shot, there should be a bullet right behind him, buried in the ground.
And we should have
a hole
seen
in the tent, and everybody behind him should have been hit as well. And
there would have been literally a cascade of blood spatter up that back tent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have had a fountain of blood go up that back tent.
Because it's soft tissue. If you hit the neck, if he's not hit, if he just dropped a little bit and he didn't hit the head and he hit the neck, like, But I don't think an Israeli sniper would miss the head. He could fucking shoot your fucking right testicles off your fucking ball.
I'm more inclined to say that the throat was the definite target.
Yeah, for the blood sac. It should be bloody and I
visible, and it has that symbolic reference to the throat, etc. Which
I saw a doctor, right, and he said, like, okay, I could see, like, he was slumping over, so probably his fifth or sixth vertebrae, whatever, was shattered because of that. He was paralyzed, and that's why he slumped over and fell off his chair. Because normally you would grab your fucking throat. That would be your fucking first reaction. Like, something shot me in the throat.
Like you'd been stung by a mosquito.
But he couldn't because he was paralyzed. So something must have blown out his... made him paralyzed.
The second-hand report we get from the supposed surgeon is alleging that the bullet went in and down, and Alex Jones was ranting about this over the weekend as well. And went in a downwards angle and ricocheted because of his bones of steel off his neck bone and went down into his torso.
Not
and
with a high caliber round.
According to this report, the bullet then exploded into his heart, which is something else that doesn't happen with those kind of caliber of weapons. Sometimes the bullet will fracture, yes.
Well, they enter and start tumbling, right? But then they make the more damage. But it still goes in a straight line out.
It can bounce around, but that kind of caliber of weapon against somebody's neck, no, it goes straight through.
Not from 200 yards. It would have literally
explode. I'm sorry to be graphic, but it would have literally exploded his spine out of the back of his neck. Yeah, there's no way it would have gone, ricochet, it happened to just go to the heart. Christ, he's the heart of Christianity. And they claim that the bullet then exploded into his... That, again, ballistically does not fucking happen unless you're using hollow point rounds, which are purposefully made to do that. Supposedly, from what we've been told, even though
but then his head would be off, Cookie, then his,
potentially,
fucking...
Yeah. They
No,
claim
and
they found the
that's it.
bullet just under the skin, even though the surgeon also claims that the bullet exploded through his heart. Which is it then? Either the bullet fragmented and destroyed his heart, or you found the bullet just under the skin. Which is it? It can't be both. Yeah, but this is the second-hand reporting we're getting, which again fulfills the narrative. It explains why there's no extreme exit wound, and it also explains why nobody else around him was hit by the exiting bullet, which should have happened, or it should have hit a wall or something. Yeah, but have you seen any mention of them finding the bullet, other than this now second-hand mention of it being under his skin?
No, I've not seen any confirmation of any bullet.
No.
Of any magic bullet.
When I was
at this point, it's a magic bullet. That's what we're talking about now.
The Navy, because obviously the Navy isn't a lot of like infantry activity. You know, you're using machines on a ship basically most of the time. You don't do a whole lot of that kind of infantry training, but we do learn basic rifle usage, basic firearms usage, and discipline, etc. Yeah, that's taught. When I was there, we were using what were referred to as SLR rifles, which is a classic British rifle that they've been using in the British forces since, I don't know, since the 60s or 70s, something like that. As far as I remember, they were 308 round, which is slightly smaller than the 3006, I think, as far as I remember. I might be getting that wrong, but, you know, firearms people can easily answer that for details. But the point being, when I was taught to use that rifle, we were shooting at barrels, oil barrels full of water at a range of about 400 feet. Yeah, so you're talking fairly long range, not extreme range for that kind of rifle, but certainly a good distance away, yeah? And I saw what the result was. The entry hole in the barrel is about that big, about like 2 inches across, because by the time it gets there, the bullet potentially can already start tumbling, yeah? The exit out the back of the barrel was like more than a foot in diameter, and literally the barrel explodes outwards. So that barrel full of water represented a human torso in a simplistic sense. But that gives you an approximate idea of there's no fucking way he got hit in the neck with a 3006 and it didn't blow out the back of his neck. Yeah, from what Candice reported about seeing that video footage, she said there was no blood, there was no traumatic catastrophic exit wound. So there's no way it came from his front. No, sorry, I don't buy the bones of steel bullshit. What's this? Is this an example of a 306 or 3006?
And why it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
You know, people have questions like, you know.
I've seen people, the one you included in the daily.
The rifle is, if it's really his grandpa's fucking rifle, right? There's a lot of questions about all of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of kick on that. Because that's the thing, part of the reason the 3006 is quite a bit, yeah, he's showing it, it's quite a big cartridge. There's a lot of gunpowder in it. Yeah, it's a high velocity round.
And he had his viewfinder all the way back, right? So he couldn't have used it properly.
Yeah, this is the kind of weapon that's used to kill large deer, even moose, according to some of the American hunters that I saw mention this year. They are very large animals. You know, this is not a fucking pea shooter that can bounce off bones. No, sorry, absolutely not. Especially not at what would have been a short range for a rifle like that.
Yeah, but look how high he has to set it up just to get a decent shot.
Yeah.
You cannot just lay flat with a gun like that on the roof. It doesn't work like that, right? So
no, it's good to have a support of some kind, to raise it up to your shoulder.
So that's where he starts. So this whole thing, let's just set it up.
He did have a backpack on, so he could have used it. Well, I mean, that's what he's doing in this, isn't it? He's using a backpack as a rest. You can see how it's not an easy weapon to fire, you know?
No, it's not a
It's not
one-shot kill neck
yeah.
shot, and you're done. No.
So we go back to the. Let's see. I mentioned sort of like the magic bullets, the bones of steel, allegedly, according to this second-hand report. No exit wounds. There's been the suggestion that this is a miracle. They've been actually using that word purposefully in the last few days when they've been talking about why didn't the bullet like do this catastrophic effect, blah blah blah, and they're calling it a miracle. So that's one miracle. I think you need 3 to be officially recognized as a potential saint to be beatified. So if they can come up with at least a couple more, I'm not sure if it's 3 or 5 actually. I think it might only be 3. But yeah, you need a certain number to be recognized as genuine miracles, and then that automatically sort of puts you in the positive voting for being beatified. Oh, I got hiccups.
Oh.
So what range is each? That's about the range we were doing it in the Navy. Yeah, that's about 400 feet at least, if not maybe a bit more. Actually, looking at it. Yeah,
but now you're actually killing somebody. This is shooting a target, right? Now you're changing history. You're doing something historic. You're up on the roof. You have one chance. You know all those things factor into this. I don't know.
It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any rational sense.
No,
it doesn't add up to the laws of physics, etc., etc. Yeah? So no exit wound. They're calling it a miracle.
If I would have, why didn't he just get a handgun? Right, 9mm. Wait a little bit, get close up to him, and then just fucking pew pew.
Yeah, which could have easily been done in that crowd at the range of where they put the barrier and whatever. Yeah, easy.
Dude, why fucking go on the roof? And I still don't know how he got. Don't know how he got on the roof. I know how he got off of it, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
How he got on it, I don't know.
The jumping down without carrying a rifle.
Yeah, we see him fucking running over the roof, but we don't see the bit where he's on the roof shooting Charlie. We don't see the bit where he climbs on the roof and gets in position. We don't see the bit, all the bits that we need to see, really.
If he was carrying the rifle, or even as the official story suggested that he'd split it down and it was in the towel that he was using to carry it, if that was true, somebody on the internet would have zoomed in on that video footage and shown it, because it would have made good conclusive evidence to back up their argument, wouldn't it? But they haven't. Nobody has.
No.
I've seen plenty of close-up shots where you can clearly see that he's carrying something floppy that could be a hoodie or it could be a towel, but there's definitely no fucking rifle in his hand.
Hey, guess what? I did see him in a very clear shot ordering food, just in between.
No, if you've got that picture, if you can pull it up, show that.
Oh, hang on, I'll find it. Hang on, take a
where he was supposedly photographed in a is it a Dairy Queen?
Dairy,
yeah, a fast food thing in the US. Now, there's one very important element about that image, which I think I've seen a couple of other people mention now, but it's taken this long for people to sort of point it out.
I got the image.
I'm going to pull up a song as well, because I'll play a little song for a little break as well before we get a bit more into it. But if you got that image to show first before we do.
Another way. No. There you
go. Yeah.
Superman. Yeah.
Exactly. What's Superman known as?
A Jew?
Well, there is that element.
He's
right?
he's a superhero, but
he's the Man of Steel.
Man of Steel and the Christ.
That actual movie.
Right?
That actual movie was called Man of Steel.
Well, this one, no, this is just Superman. Was it?
I thought it was Superman Returns, and the subline, the strap line is Man of Steel.
No, this is the James Gunn version. If it's of this period, then this is the
Oh, I
James
thought it
Gunn
was
one.
the older one.
No, this is the remake.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, it's still
But yeah,
Superman, Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
Yeah. And he's wearing a red T-shirt. I know that's a bit of a tenuous link, but even so, it's still a bit of a link. And if you really want to dig into the possible, alleged symbolic connection, because they will argue this endlessly and claim it's not true, but there is a lot of good argument to suggest that the caricature that we know as Superman is based on a Jewish principle of the super being. Even the letter S that is on his chest that he refers to as his L heritage from his homeland, and it's supposed to represent the river of power kind of thing. That again has potential Hebrew connections, so he's a god of lightning, a god of divine power, a demigod, a Nephilim, even in some perspectives.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot
in
of
Superman Returns. He's portrayed as Christ a bit, like
exactly,
like a return of Christ, but it's a Messiah figure for sure. Yeah. And Kirk is a Messiah figure at this point, so the tie-ins of these, crazy. And he has the hat, the sunglasses, the shirt is different, the pants is the same, the shoes are different. Make it make sense.
I heard somebody suggest that it's like half the version of the outfit that he was allegedly wearing in the other images. Yeah. So if those other images are true,
on what day is this?
Is it either the timeline's messed up or the images they showed us of him on the stairwell and stuff are not accurate?
This is the image, right? That he's looking at the TV where they say, well, we have the shooter. It's T. Robinson. He's like, what? Hey, that's me.
Me? No way.
Huh? Hey, he looks like me.
I
don't know. This guy, this makes no sense. His backstory as well doesn't make sense. There's a lot of issues. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Sorry, I was just reading Roscoe's comment. Yeah, I agree. But I also think there's very definite narrative elements that they're wanting to be picked up by
That's a problem, reaction, solution thing again, right?
Yeah. I'll mention a bit more about the symbolic and occultic connections after we've had a little listen to something which I thought, after watching the memorial service, this is just my perspective, just to caveat it right before anyone gets triggered or whatever. When I was listening to his wife, Erica, the blonde-haired woman with lots of gold jewelry on, talking about how she met him and etc., all the stuff she was talking about at the memorial speech, I just couldn't help but think about this and this other character from history. And especially when Trump called her back onto stage and he was giving her a bit of a hugging and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, even more so it made me think of this. But here you go, have a listen to this.
Falling in love again, never wanted to. What am I to do? I can't help it. Love's always been my game. Play it how I may. I was made that way. I can't help it. Men cluster to me like moths around the flame, and if their wings burn, I know I'm not to blame. Falling in love again, never wanted to. am I to do? I can't help it. Men cluster to me like moths around the flame, and if their wings burn, I know I'm not to blame. Falling in love again, never wanted to. What am I to do? I can't help it.
Was that too much?
No, I love it.
That was, if people didn't know, that was Marlene Dietrich, who was allegedly the lover of the short Austrian guy with the funny moustache. Yeah, so yeah, it just like I said, it stood out a bit to me because there's various elements. If you know a bit of the history, and of course, you know, this is according to their history books, blah blah blah. Some of the stuff that's been happening is very akin to what took place during the 1930s lead up to the Second World War. Even things such as the trans agenda. And she
but
was
not a man,
somewhat
though.
of a... no, I'm not suggesting she was, but at the time, there was a fashion of that kind of thing, which was partly what the short man was so angry about. And the book burnings and all that kind of stuff was all or largely tied into that topic, and other elements that were referred to as the degeneracy of that particular ethnic group.
Yeah, she's been through it.
And, you know, this kind of connection in a narrative sense, to me, it makes sense in the repetition of the controllers, the cabal, the little club, like doing things on repeat, especially after a generation or two, because they think that people don't remember or they don't notice the patterns of repetition. But once they've got a method that they feel works for them, they keep using it again and again and again, you know. So some of the stuff Trump's been doing, some of the way he talks about things, it all smacks of a similarity, you know.
No, it is. It is copy paste, I would say.
Yeah, very much so. No, I think all we're waiting for is certain legislation.
But the book burning, right? The tranny book burnings.
Like you mentioned, the Antifa thing, which is why I think, yeah, absolutely.
That's part of it.
That's another element of the slowly pulling in the fences of what is or is not allowed.
Oh,
you know, because if you're stuck in a dictatorship, whether you think it's fascistic or communistic or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a tyrannical control system. But one of the major elements of how they rise to power is through the control of information. So creating excuses that then the public demand a solution to a problem that you've created, you know, where it's like, oh, we need you to crack down on these people. We need you to shut down these people and not allow them to do their publishing and blah, blah, blah. It's like another... I'm not going to switch off YouTube now. I'm going to leave it running and we'll see how we go. I'll find out, you know, see what happens afterwards. But
You're
we're on
way too
Rumble as
small.
well. So if YouTube does shut the stream down, just switch over to Rumble. You can carry on
But
watching.
again, the symbology, the same club, the same communism, Antifa, anti-fascistic. They're communist. They are. Look at the flags combined here.
The short Austrian guy used them in the same manner. They were the problem that created the need for solutions that he could then offer. So absolutely.
Yeah, long live. It says here on the podium. You cannot see it, but it says "Long live the Red Army," kind of a thing. Yeah. They're fascists. They are the true communists. We don't even know what communism is because we think that the Russians are communist.
Yeah, they're not.
No, they tried communism on that destroyed
for a little bit. They did.
That destroyed it, right? So
that
they know now what communism means. That means that it's going to destroy everything: your culture, your heritage, every fucking thing.
I think the purpose was to cripple them for approximately a century, which is pretty much what happened.
This was in. I don't know exactly when this one. Let me look it up.
I
think it was at the same
early 30s.
Probably 100 years ago ish.
Oh, more. Oh, right. Okay. I'll jump back a little bit in my notes as well because we have sort of progressed along a bit. But to reply to some of the comments like Made in UK saying about I don't because I can't click on his comment because it's gone too far. Whatever. Anyway, he's saying I don't care how clear or how slow the video is. I don't trust videos on the internet
1932. That picture was from 1932.
I thought it'd be early 30s. Yeah.
Well, we live in the 2030 agenda time, right?
Yep. Same cycle. It's been 100+ years, but the cycle has gone round one full turning.
Yeah.
So we're back at the repetition point again. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you, mate, in the sense of with modern AI and the level of fakery that can potentially be achieved, especially when it comes to digital media, it's so extreme. It's like, we have to take everything we've been shown has to be taken with a very large pinch of salt because it could be completely crafted. I mentioned the magic chair. You included it in your daily today, didn't you? Because I originally saw it. Venonymous uploaded a copy of it, but he said it got took down by YouTube. But I saw you got it in the daily today as well. But there's a video angle from Charlie's right hand side. I'll refer to it from Charlie's point of view, from his right hand side, where after he's collapsed, and the security team sort of all gaggle around him and whatever, it looks like the chair bounces off the top of the little podium area and actually clips through the table. And that's the only way I can describe it. It's like clipping that you see in a computer game. There's no way it's natural. If it's genuine, there is no way that's a natural motion because of the way the chair moves. Yeah, it doesn't move in any kind of natural sense at all. So that looks like it's AI. But I can't know whether that's AI manipulation after the fact, as in somebody's taken the original footage and added this AI corruption to create confusion or disinformation, or whether that's how the footage looked originally from when it was taken. I think it's probably the former, as in we have got to a stage where the official story is being pushed so hard, so determinedly that this is what that happened and you must accept this sequence of events, that they are now deliberately, as in when I say they, the agencies, the companies, I think they are purposefully now inserting misinformation into the internet pool of info so that the overall narrative of evidence that's available to us of the event, of the day, has become so polluted, so corrupted, that we as general citizenry cannot access good enough information to say one way or the other. Yeah.
Fuck.
So in other words, the choice is for most people is they'll find it so confusing, so disheartening, so discouraging, so chaotic that they'll just throw the towel in and go, oh, I'll just, the officials say it was this, so, whatever.
Yeah, I have the clip here. So if you look at, you have the table here, and then it seems like something seems to clip, and which means like something is going through an object which isn't supposed to go through an object.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a gaming term, but it seems to clip through the chair. So watch this. Here we go. Here we go. Watch this. Watch this.
The chair suddenly jumps up.
Yeah, this
and
makes
then
no
starts
sense.
wiggling around,
clipping through the fucking table. I don't know if it's gonna be shown again.
Just the way it wiggles around doesn't follow laws of physics. Yeah.
No, it's just weird. It doesn't make sense. This bit. See, it's clipping through the table now. One leg is going through the table. That this is AI shit.
Yeah, it's definitely AI, but it's whether is this something that's been done after the fact, or is this?
Well, this is shit to confuse you, right? This is fucking.
That's what I think.
Say, you're believing in crazy conspiracy theories.
But it does raise a further bit of percentage chance for the possibility that the entire scene is AI generated. My problem with that is that could easily be countermanded by interviewing witnesses who were there on the day.
Yeah. I've seen enough phone videos.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, guys. Yeah, I think this is what they're doing now deliberately to pollute the information pool, so that people will run with crazy ideas, and then the general normies. When you try to relay this information to them, they'll go, oh, you're fucking crazy. Look, you're talking about chairs flying through the air and shit, man. Here, you're just a fucking nutter. Yeah. This way, it just like in other events where they've created such a chaotic element of supposed evidence that for most people, they ain't going to be able to tell what the fuck's going on, what's real, what's fake.
No, gamers can see this, right? This is physics. Yeah. This is something is clipping through a fucking table. How the fuck is that possible?
Yeah. Other than AI manipulation.
Bad programming.
Yeah, it's some kind of video manipulation that's been done there.
Yeah, let's take you back to 9/11. We've been having the stories at least since then. Like real planes, fake planes.
Nose cones coming through the side of the building.
All the fucking shit.
How the fuck does an aluminium nose cone travel through however many feet of steel and concrete? Nobody knows, but there it is. Yeah, just sticking in.
Well, it's like the magic shot, right? That's what I took away from the Charlie shooting as well. Like the guy that took the first video that came out was a long shot from a balcony, zooming in right at the moment that he got shot.
Yes,
and that to me tells me like, okay, you knew that thing was coming and you were ready for it.
Yeah,
it's like that 9/11 pan and zoom shot that they did. Like, okay,
the camera just happened to be pointing in the right direction at exactly the right moment.
No. Yeah. So there's a lot of staging going on, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure, and that's for a reason. And the problem, reaction, solution is kind of what we're seeing now, and that's the free speech stuff, right?
Yeah, some of it. Yeah.
The Bondi, people are now upset about Bondi because she said, like, well, we have to, arrest all these people and put them in a gulag, basically.
Yeah.
Because they didn't like Charlie.
We have to get them cancelled. No, I'm not saying that it's right that people out there that are celebrating,
cheering,
and all that kind of, absolutely not. No, I don't agree with that kind of shit. No,
and if I'm your boss, I would fire you.
This is where we get into the discussion of the problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialect being used to bring those people out of the woodwork so that the rest of the population can see their insane ranting and go, we don't want that, please shut them up.
Yeah.
So therefore, when it's suggested, we'll bring in legislation, to make sure that people can't do shit. most of the public will be like, yes, please do that, please. I want that, please, without really thinking of the long-term potential ramifications.
Well, and she did the ultimate sacrifice, right, by turning the cheek and forgiving the guy that did it.
Yeah. That's
so now it's up to the
definitely,
left to how they are gonna react to that. And I don't. They have not been nice because it has been compared to Nazi rallies and all that shit,
yeah,
which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, okay.
Let me just mention one more element to do with what could be defined as like the physical evidence side of it. As we mentioned, you know, the potential of him being shot from the front by that rifle that's listed in the official storyline does not make any sense whatsoever. But according to some analysis from some people out there who claim they know about firearms, they claim they're ex-military snipers, etc., etc., and I've seen at least 2 different people suggest the same scenario. So it's not just one crazy person randomly. And this makes sense to me. This adds up in a rational sense of what could be possible. It wasn't that rifle that hit him. It was a different shooter from a different angle, possibly behind him and to his right, which, as some people have mentioned, I think Mahatma posted it in the chat last week, and Rob as well. I think you mentioned this as well. There's a flash in one of the windows behind him and up a level, on the first floor. So possibly there was somebody inside the building there. And the other element to this is, if that was what was happening, it was more than likely a lower caliber weapon, possibly even as lower caliber as a 22, which, given a good shooter, a good marksman, could penetrate through the throat and cause the size of exit wound that we saw on the initial video that got shared around, because that exit wound does not make sense in terms of the official narrative weapon. No way at all. But if you're talking something that's a low caliber, even down at, like I say, as far as a 2.2, a 2.2 could do that if you get the shot just right to go through the soft flesh. Because that's if it had hit him behind there, that could have been, pretty much not a problem for a 2.2 round, and that would leave a small exit wound. But if that is what took place, then that means there should be a bullet somewhere in the scene. And they came along and cleaned up the scene the very next day. As you showed some of the images, and as people have mentioned about the trapdoor and stuff, workmen turned up and basically sanitized that entire area the next day. You don't do that to a fucking crime scene. And especially not the kind of crime scene that has all this important relevance to do with somebody that was well known, blah, 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 blah. No way should they have been cleaning that up like that. No. So it's all definitely at the point where, as mentioned, you can't really trust video footage. You certainly can't trust the official storyline because it does not make any sense whatsoever. The taking the rifle apart and all that kind of shit. The supposed hanging around, according to the text messages, he was loitering, waiting for squad cars to leave and shit. Nah, utter crap, utter rubbish script writing. If that was submitted as a Hollywood movie, it'd probably get made by Hollywood, actually, but it would be a shit movie. It would be so unbelievable because it'd just be ridiculous kind of narrative points like that. So that's really what I wanted to mention, to do with what's come out so far, to do with potentially what they claim is physical evidence or documented evidence, like the video footage and stuff like that. I'm sure most people are well aware of all this stuff that's been going on for the last few days because of how much coverage it's been given. And this is worldwide. It's not just the USA. It's not just the people who are part of the Turning Point NGO. It's not just the politicians like Trump. This is worldwide. There was a memorial held in London. There was a memorial held in Korea, supposedly. You know, I've listened to a few of the talking heads here in the UK, like what's his face, Sargon, talking about this, you know, and how they are very much on board with the kind of narrative elements of it's time for the Christians to stand up again. You know, it's time for us to congregate together and close ranks and stand with each other. Even though Sargon will say he's not a Christian and whatever, he agrees with the general sort of rising of that conservative Christian ideology again. Yeah, so they very much this is meant to affect people on a global narrative scale, not just the USA. But some of the elements that she mentioned, Erica, I say she, Erica, the wife, the widow, I should say, in her little speech at the memorial, was again fueling that same kind of narrative. It's time now for all those men out there that feel lost and with no purpose and disassociated from society.
All the incels.
Yeah, it's time for them to come and join the flock, to turn back again to Christianity and conservatism.
Jesus.
Yeah, and support the current political regime because they're doing all good God's work, you know, all that kind of stuff. It very, like I said, it very much stank of a political rally rather than being a memorial. But
to me, it smells like a crusade. But
yes,
I've been saying this for a long time now.
Well, let's mention some of the occultic elements that tie into this that, again, I think reinforce that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Kirk, as mentioned in the chat, and as many other people have mentioned, the name Kirk, it's Scottish originally, as far as I know, but it's another word for church. It means church in its etymological meaning. So you've got that connotation to it. As I've mentioned, they're already starting to refer to him as some kind of prophet. They're talking about how he's associating miracles to him. The bullet not leaving his body so it didn't harm anyone else. That's a miracle. He saved other people from being hurt. It was miraculous the way he could talk to people and help them become better than their original selves, blah, blah, blah. They're ticking boxes to beatify him, yeah, to make him seem...
Declare him a saint.
Yeah, make him seem divine.
Well, maybe the Pope is watching.
He was absolutely living God's purpose, you know. Every day he used to say the phrase, God, use me for your will, you know.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's very much serving a kind of religiously symbolic element, such as, you know, I do think they wouldn't go as far as calling him Messiah or the second coming or anything like that, because they know that would be too far. Mm-hmm. But referring to him as being a prophet, yeah, I think they'd do that. And then portray him in this kind of deified way, because it serves a purpose of having him as some kind of symbolic icon to gather people round, you know, to rally people to the cause kind of thing. And that call to arms suits a resolution of a narrative that the Americans in particular, but here in the UK, we've had the same thing, and in a lot of the European countries have had the same thing. And I know regular listeners will be aware of this because we talked about it for a lot of time over the years. They have been purposely trying to create a narrative of a lone wolf extremist element as the major risk in society. Yeah? Other than the Islamophobia and the Islamic terrorists, the counterpoint to those Islamic terrorists was always the homegrown, white, neo-Nazi, violent, religious extremist. So he's like the Christian version of the Islamic extremist, yeah? They've been portraying that for years now. They even use it in regular parlance to refer to people like Stephen Yaxley Lennon. You know, whatever you think of him, he gets labelled with that stereotyping character, which is purposeful because it seeds that idea into people's thinking. They want you, I know, they want you to have that. Yeah, yes. Jesse had covered this brilliantly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he would love this shit.
But they want people to have that kind of caricature, that stereotyped caricature in their head. And now those very people that have usually been labelled in that kind of way, like I said, this is more predominantly to do with the USA, because they have that kind of culture of the prepper lone wolf guy who knows how to use firearms, and he's probably ex-military. You know, he could have been a Marine or something like that. Now he lives in the woods like Rambo.
Oh.
That kind of narrative, they're now calling all those people in. It's like they're calling them back to base and saying, like, right, okay, we need you all to start congregating together now because we're forming a crusade. Yeah, this is
there's no turning cheeks anymore.
No, exactly. Yeah, this is why I thought this symbolism was more appropriate. Yeah, this is
that's
very
why I
much
mentioned
like
Tim Pool, right? Because he's the guy that's supposed to be like in the middle of this, and now he portrays it now like, oh, okay, well, it's clear now. You know, we have a clear left and right.
Yeah,
Republicans
the
want their
battle
own
lines have been
America.
drawn.
The Democrats want their own America, but there's no united America anymore. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like like you said, the Balkan model.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer.
Remember that the word church, in its definition, is meant to represent the congregation of people, not a physical building. Yeah, or even though we use that word in that way, you know, to refer to an actual physical building where people go together to practice their religion.
Mm-hmm.
In its true definition, the word means the congregation itself, as in the group of people coming together to celebrate their divine being that they choose to believe in. Yeah.
Well,
so again, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Church, calling in all these people that have supposedly been lost out in the wilderness. You know, they're wandering in the desert. Now they're getting called back to the side to stand next to Christ, etc. Other occultic elements to do with this. One, it took place on the 10th of September, 9/10, which has some element connection to 9/11. And I know, again, regular listeners are used to me talking about this kind of stuff. Sept means 7. So in a numerological and occultic sense, it's actually 7/10 or 10/7 in the American way of putting... 7/10, wouldn't it? Yeah, because they put the month before the date. Or it could be 107 if you're doing it the correct way around. There's crazy colonials. But there's numerological elements to that. And I was curious about when he was born and stuff. It's when we looked that up before we started. But that's October, so it's not quite the same time, but it's not much difference. The time period was leading up to the equinox. The equinox, being the autumn equinox, also includes Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. Again, we're back to that small ethnic group from the Middle East again, yeah? I don't know if there's any particular numerological connections further than that. There might be. The one other element is the fact that he was hit in the throat. Some people attribute the number 33 to the throat. I'm not sure how they're calculating that, or where they're getting that from, but that's one attribution. There you go, get the words out. And I know from the alchemical portrayal of the body and the perception of the body as a divine temple, the astrological as above so below connection, the throat is represented by Taurus, the bull. So yet again, it's another bull. Yeah, this is leaving aside just the element of they shot him in the throat to take his voice away. You know, when he was allegedly, and as his narrative is suggesting, he was the voice of Christ or the voice of God in this current paradigm in America. Yeah, he was like the Tetragrammaton. He was speaking the word of Christ. He was going into the lion's den and converting the lions. You know, that's the way he's being portrayed. So he had the voice of God, and he was good at doing that kind of debating. That's part of what he was known for. Yeah. So the fact that they shot him through the throat is highly symbolic. You know, connect that as well to, like I say, the Taurus. That's the bull. Recently in Israel, they sacrificed one of the red heifers. Some people have claimed that that was just a practice run, supposedly. Other people have claimed that they did it genuinely and they've collected the ashes. according to their own prophecies and legends, they need 10 of those sacrifices to enable the return of the Messiah. Messiah, I'm not sure how they pronounce it. I don't speak Hebrew, so I don't know exactly how they pronounce it. But it's the Hebrew version of the word Messiah. It's where the word Messiah comes from. Yeah, the Messiah will return once they've sacrificed enough of the bulls, and they can use the ashes to sanctify the tools they need to rebuild the temple. That is also an indicator that if they're actually pursuing that purpose at the moment, that means to the rest of the Islamic world, they know that that's like an indicator that any minute now they're going to want to come and bulldoze the Al-Aqsa Mosque, because the temple has to be built where the mosque currently is. So if they're talking about how they've now got the 10 ashes of the bulls, that means they're ready to start rebuilding the temple. If they're ready to start rebuilding the temple, that means they need to demolish the mosque first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's all these kind of elements connected together. And the one other thing
I think that's why Starmer stepped in, right, and said we do
absolutely
like the two-state solution, please.
I'd put that further down in my notes, but absolutely, why is it that all of a sudden, out of the blue almost, Starmer turns around and says, we're now officially recognising
Canada
Palestine.
and Australia, the Commonwealth.
Rubber stamped, we're accepting it now, even though
it's a royal thing.
Many of the talking heads and journalists have pointed out, it's like, what part of Palestine are you referring to?
By royal
What are the
degree.
borders? Who is running the country? Are you referring to Hamas? Hamas now is an official diplomatic or political. They do have a political branch, so
they do.
Some of these.
Not anymore. It got eradicated in.
They didn't kill all of them, supposedly.
But
I know it becomes somewhat of a mute line of questioning, like, because of those reasons. It's like, how are you going to enforce this?
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden are you doing this now? I think there's various reasons Starmer could be doing it, but part of it, I think, is connected to this. Yeah. Other aspects are, like I mentioned last week, he's representing the Sun God. I mentioned it at the start as well. He's the SON and SUN representative, and they've just sacrificed him, which being the autumn equinox is returning the sun god to the underworld so that he can do his passage through the underworld, so he can be reborn at Easter. That's just part of their astrotheological belief system. But the other element that I haven't heard anyone else suggest that I wanted to throw out there, and it will sound a bit extreme, I get that, but with a lot of the stuff that's been going on, it wouldn't surprise me if they did try to do something like this, because it would be such a radical move towards the biblical apocalypse.
Well, and can I do a biblical prediction?
Yes.
Another T. Robinson is on the list.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. But the thing I was going to suggest is, considering we don't really have any good information other than the official story about his death, as in Charlie Kirk's death, no official information about the autopsy has been put out there. All we have is his second-hand passed on information, allegedly from a surgeon that supposedly tried to save him, blah, blah, blah. So we've got no real sort of scientific proof or backing to the official story and shit like that. We've seen images of him in an open casket, although they didn't show his face, they just showed his hands, with the wife crying over his hands and holding his hands and so. Yeah, so they had an open casket wake. Now he's supposedly held waiting to be actually buried.
Yeah.
So in other words, he's still in Phoenix, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another symbolic part of it, isn't it? Yeah, Phoenix, which is on the 33rd parallel. But he is now supposedly in a box waiting to be buried, which means there is a potential. And like I say, I know this is going to sound way out there, but this is something that they themselves claim. And when I say they, I'm referring to the ethnic group with the small hats that lives in the Middle East.
Uh-huh.
They have claimed that their ashes from their sacred bulls have the power of resurrection. Yeah, so if that's true, if they want to pursue this portrayal of a certain biblical prophecy narrative, they could come along with their little bag of magic bull ashes and sprinkle it on Charlie, and all of a sudden he jumps back up out the coffin and goes, I'm
a Jew!
Yeah, I'm converted now. Hey!
I'm Jewish.
Yeah. I know it sounds over the top crazy, but
well,
I'm only putting it out there because some of the things that have happened over the last several months, including the full-on assault of Gaza, they are literally trying to get rid of Gaza completely. They are flattening it. They're trying to slaughter as many of the people as they can get away with, and those that survive, they are going to be driven out one way or another. Yeah. If they're going that far, and Bibi himself has made reference to things like the Greater Israel Project, where they're claiming the lands between the two rivers. You know, they talk about from the river to the sea. The Israelis make the same claim about all the land between the two rivers. That's what their flag represents, yeah? The two blue lines are the two rivers of the biblical prophecy. So if they're openly talking about this kind of biblical prophecy narrative, then they could easily turn around and go, hey, let's magically resurrect some people to prove that our magic is real because our Messiah is coming back again. Way!
hey.
It could be done with CGI. It could be completely faked. I know it's going to sound weird as fuck, but if they really want to pull the lever, as it were, and go full in on their biblical prophecy, because a lot of what they've done over the years is they have enacted biblical prophecy. They don't wait for it to happen.
Nope.
They don't wait and sit back and go, oh, yeah, any minute now,
Accelerationists.
Such and such is going to happen, so we're going to sit and watch and wait. No, they actually make it happen.
Of course you do.
Yeah, accelerationism, because they believe that God works through them. So therefore, if they make it happen, that's God making it happen.
Yep.
Therefore,
there's enough suffering, God will appear.
Yeah. In the same way as they would make that same claim if they now turn around and said, right, we've got to demolish the mosque now because it's time for the Messiah to come back. So we need to start building the temple. Yeah, God's making it happen, just like the prophecy said, because we're driving the bulldozers and God works through us. So, you know, it's prophecy. I know, like I said, it makes it sound really over the top, but you're talking about religious fundamentalists and extremists. They've tried to convince most of the Western nations that the only extremists are the Islamic extremists. That's not true. Yeah, there's Jewish extremists, there's Christian extremists. Yeah, go on.
Cadence is getting ready for her next stream. Every knee will bow.
Yeah.
Erica Kirk forgives, the feds forget. Well,
yeah.
So that could be interesting.
Yeah, that's
so
a good
we'll
title.
see about that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's playing her role as well, but.
Good night, Kitty. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again
soon. Yeah.
But yeah, it is. We've gotten to that level of crazy, I feel, so even though it would be a crazy fucking thing for them to try and claim, it wouldn't surprise me with some of the shit that's happening now. If they can do some kind of mysticism, magic ceremony and shit, and it's just like, it wouldn't surprise me if they make a clone of him and say that that's him come back from the dead and stuff like that. What counts as resurrection? Can get into a stupid semantic argument about the definition of resurrection. Yeah.
Well, the movement has grown, right? So, he hasn't, in that sense, he hasn't been killed. He still lives on, right?
Yeah, he lives within the message. Yeah, now he's become the embodiment of the message of Christ. Yeah.
And I do agree, like, it didn't turn out into riots and fire and, looting. And None of that.
Neither did the National Socialists when they first started. They were welcomed by the people.
Yeah.
They were encouraged. You know, everybody thought it was great because they were bringing jobs back. They were bringing prosperity back. They were bringing safety and security back. Yeah. It's only once they'd fully established their control that they started doing all the horrible shit. Yeah.
Oh,
right,
he does have a middle name. It's James.
Oh, right. There you go. So T.J. Robinson.
Yeah. TJR.
James is a very biblical name as well, isn't it? Yeah. Although he would be considered a failed Christian, I'm guessing, you know, from the narrative from the right anyway. Although she forgave him, so maybe that means he can be redeemed, you know. That's really the core message of Christianity, isn't it? Yeah. The whole point of the sacrifice of the Lamb of God, as in the Christ, was that he pays for all your sins. So it doesn't matter who you are, you can be redeemed. You just have to turn back to Christ. Yeah?
Same as James T. Kirk.
No way. Is it Charlie James Kirk? Not James T. It's Charlie James Kirk. Yeah, but
almost
close. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if his dad
like,
put that in deliberately.
Well, look, Tommy took a stage name, right?
Yeah, it is just a stage
name. Jackson. So
yeah. It's meant to personify his Britishness.
Yeah, Tommy boy.
So I mentioned my crazy idea of the magic heifer dust. We've mentioned recognised Palestine, and not long after that, the announcement. I'm not sure when this vote took place. It might have been before Starmer made his announcement. But the UN had a vote about a ceasefire after the recent report about them judging the situation in Gaza to be a genocide. They held a vote to call for an immediate ceasefire, and the USA vetoed it.
Of course.
You know, they claim to be all for peace and trying to sort things out and whatever, but they vetoed a call for a ceasefire.
Well, yeah, Trump has a casino planned in Gaza. So shut up.
On the seafront. Yeah. The other couple of elements I'll mention, other stuff that's been going on in the news, because it sort of wraps up all the shit that I wanted to say about the whole Charlie Kirk situation. Yeah, I think, like I've mentioned, we're in a stage where they are now deliberately fueling misinformation and disinformation. I know this sounds terrible because it's their own terminology of information control, but this is literally what I think they are doing this literally. So therefore it's appropriate to label it this way. They're just trying to corrupt the information as much as they can, so that for all of us lot out here trying to look through this stuff, it's going to become so impossible to try and figure out exactly what happened. Unless you were there on the day and you saw it all play out one moment after the next, you're never going to find out for true. Not via the internet and the media, nowhere.
JFK all over again.
Yeah. And it's going to fuel conspiracy theories for decades to come, just like his death did. Yeah. And
so look at the problem, reaction, solution part.
Yeah.
Focus on that. Don't get dwelled into the minutia, because I made that mistake during 9/11. I wasted a lot of time in 9/11, and look where it got me. Nowhere.
Yeah.
So this is the same. So worry about the solutions, and that's free speech, and more control, more rules and regulations, and
more polarization of one
more
side.
Polarization, diversion, and all that. Yep.
I'll mention as well, the Starmer also was rumoring again about the brick card, the digital ID shit.
Yep.
I think maybe he's just piling on with stuff now, because after the recent visit by King Dong, this is something else as well that's all taken place within the last couple of weeks. We've had this sacrifice, what basically has been a sacrifice. We've had these major diplomatic moves, The Russians are moving their military around in the European theatre. You know, they're moving jets and tanks around and stuff like that. So that's all going on still at the moment. And we had King Dong come here to meet with King Chucky.
Yeah.
I think both of them loved it because both of them are as bad as each other in the sense of they're total egomaniacs. So they were both slavering all over each other. You know, oh yes, Your Majesty. Oh, you're such a great president. Oh, yeah. I think they would have blown each other on camera if they could have got away with it. You know? But out of that, we've had this kind of Starmer need to be important again. I think this is why he made this kind of surprise move about Palestine.
Free speech.
Because he's got this little conflict with King Dong going on. Yeah, and then compounding that with the digital ID. Because I think they're desperate to push this stuff through now. So they're literally just going to start piling it on. So if you thought the last year was a bit chaotic and crazy, this coming winter is going to be a bit extreme. Yes, as James reminded, the October CBDC potential.
Yep. No, it's happening. It's going to happen.
The October surprise and all that shit. Yeah.
All that is going to happen. And we're all distracted by all kinds of shit. You know, even American shit, which is not related to us at all, like Charlie Kirk shit.
Yeah.
But again, you know,
one of
in a way it is, but
more of a bit of a kind of possibly longer running narrative that we haven't seen any distinct conclusion to yet is the pushing through Parliament of the assisted dying bill. Now I know,
made.
Yeah, it's sort of like made for the UK.
Made like.
Sorry, made in UK.
Made for the UK.
But this does seem to be like the British version of MAID in Canada, in the Canuckistan.
Yeah.
So it is like the made version for the UK.
Yep.
They're still debating it. It's still being pushed around between the House of Lords, and there are still some good questions and opposition being put against it. So we'll see. But you know what they're like in terms of the political game. They'll just slightly alter the wording and they'll push it back again to try and get it through. They're determined to bring full-on euthanasia into the UK, not just for special cases, which is the way it exists at the moment. You know, it's for extreme special cases, but they want to bring it in as being available on the NHS for people with terminal illnesses. That's how it will start, because that's exactly how it started in Canada. Yeah. And eventually it will be like, oh, you're feeling a bit depressed. Oh, well, we can send you to the euthanasia clinic. Yeah. You can start a whole new life as Soylent Green. Yeah, I'm sure that'll make it popular. Yeah. They'll be queuing up to get their Soylent Green biscuits. Hey. Yeah, so it is the equinox. I hope you're enjoying the change of season. Don't get too disheartened, because if anything, the craziness of some of these current narratives that they're pushing are so extremely crazy that more and more people are realizing the madness of this shit that's going on. Yeah, I think the harder they try to push people in certain directions, the more ridiculous the lies become. And then more and more people notice. Yeah, and we've got a lot more people noticing. Yeah. So hopefully that's in a good way. Hopefully people will realize that, you know, there are options, there are choices, there are things you can be doing. And part of the doing is not letting yourself get triggered and wound up and have your energy utilized by them.
Yeah, I hope the anti-fa cunts understand that it's the same cunts that manipulate us on the right than it's manipulating them on the left. But yeah, we'll see.
I didn't do the rune. Thank you, Mascara.
Oh, rune. Quickly.
Yeah, I'll do it quick. I won't mess about with my camera. I'll just stick my hand in and what shall I ask? I know. I'll ask what I asked in the poll. Is he still alive? Has he actually died and
resurrected? Is he resurrected?
Is he still alive? That's one that keeps coming back. Oh, I think that's an inversion.
Oh yeah, it's the V thingy.
Have a quick look. I consulted the Book of Horrors. Yeah, yeah, I thought it was an inverted. I need my reading glasses.
I'm not sure. Is that Welsh, Rob?
It might be one this year. While I'm looking this up, we can say, don't forget tomorrow night for Not a Dr. Rob's amazing Health Freedom UK show. It is Siggy's, and it is definitely inverted, page 61. And then we'll be back on Wednesday night, and we'll see, like,
on this channel.
The Jewish New Year is from today until Wednesday. So if they're going to do anything extremely crazy, hopefully we'll find out by Wednesday at least anyway.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, I can't pronounce that. It represents the god Loki, inverted. You may well be concerned over what appears to be failed communication. Lack of clarity or awareness either in your past history or present situation. I would guess that equals a no. This is one of the cycle runes. In other words, this is part of a sequence of runes that are meant to cycle together.
No.
It may what you are asking, it may be timely in your process. If the well is clogged, this is a moment for cleaning out the old.
Oh,
that's quite significant. Yeah, I think that means he's dead. I thought it sounds terrible the way I said it. So
definitely, kind of a, renewal, reversal going on. A 180.
Clearing things out and turning
back
around
to Jesus
again. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for reminding me, Mascara. Yeah, cool.
Yep.
And
thanks everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
All
Thanks
the
for
comments.
giving us your attention for.
And congrats on the 50 subs, Rob. Well done, mate.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he had a little daily that went, or a short that went viral.
Oh, right, cool.
40,000 or something like that. So he's
You need a new producer.
He's booming. Yeah.
Well, is the one you got a bit shit or something? Yeah, what's going on?
That's what you get, for nothing, for free.
I never thought as well. I haven't pulled up a song. I played that the other day. I played that. No. I could play that, but it's a bit long. No, that's a bit too long. That's like 10 minutes.
No, that's annoying. That's so much.
Played that the other night. So I'll tell you what, I'll play this one. I know Rob played it on his theme music show for me, but this is the movie version.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
It's not too long, and I think it's appropriate for, like I've said many times, all the usual qualifiers. I didn't know the guy. I've only ever listened to a bit of him doing his thing, but I think he was doing good stuff. He was doing good work. So for the sake of their political bullshit fucking narratives, they've killed yet another person that was actually trying to help others. Same old shit, different decade. Yeah, so we'll play this out. Thanks again for tuning in, folks. We'll see you again soon.
Yeah. See you tomorrow. Cheers.
if you know. Do you know what fascism is?
Fascism,
you know what fascism
when it comes
is?
to America, it
You
will
know
not
what Nazis
wear, it will
are?
not wear, no, wait,
Yeah.
sir, wait,
You
sir.
know what
When
Nazis
fascism
are?
comes
You know
to
what
America, it
fascists
will
are?
not be in brown and black shirts. It will not be with jack boots. It will be Nike sneakers and smiley shirts. Smiley, smiley. The fascism. Germany lost the Second World War. Fascism won it. Believe
And actually,
me, my friend.
fascism is when corporations become the government.
Yes.